Welcome to this DaVinci Resolve Fusion node breakdown. Today's node is the texture transform node. So anytime we're placing materials on our little shapes we have here, our textures pretty much map correctly to the UV and W coordinates of our little shapes. But there are times we need to translate or transform the actual textures and not our shape. So let's go ahead and bring in a, say, media. And let me grab something. So if I took this media and input it into our material, you can see it's kind of crazy. And there's no way to really transform this media onto this shape, just as is within our little node. So that's where the texture transform node comes in. So let's disconnect this, or bring in a texture transform. We're going to add it to our little node. So we're going to input our media, and we're going to input this into our material. So if we go to our shape and let's reset some of these transforms going on so we can see the front of this footage. And right off the bat, you can see our footage isn't quite where we want it. And there's actually a person in here, and we want her face kind of in the center of that shape. Let's edit our media here. There we go. So if we go to our render, you can see it's off. Now, if we go to our texture transform node, we can go to our translation, and on our UV and W axis, we can transform our actual material. So we can bring it up, bring it down, and now our material is playing in the center of our little shape there. And if we rotate our shape, you can see that's sticking on our shape. Because what it's doing is it's actually transforming this texture on the U, V, and W coordinates. So like I said, we can translate on the U, the V, and the W if we have W information, which we don't on this. We can rotate it on the U, the V, and the W. And we can change the order of our rotation. We can also change the scale on the U and the V. And this right here, the scaling, I know the other day what we did is we had our cubes. And let's change this to a cube. And if you remember right, our cubes were a little off. So let's reset our translation so it's in the middle. And you can see our footage is squished to fit that cube. And we went through and we did a backdrop, and we changed the size of our media so it was a perfect square using our ratio size of our footage. But with the texture transform, we can come in here and we can actually change it and eyeball it and change the scale to make it look like it's supposed to look. And then if we go to our U, we can slide that back over. And now our footage is rescaled correctly. And it'll do it on all cube sizes. So if I come in here and I rotate it, you can see that's happening on all sides. And additionally, on our texture transform node, we can scale on the V axis if we need to. But if you notice, once we start scaling beyond the size of our media, it starts doing odd things. And we can change the pivot of our overall media. And we can invert our transforms if we need to. And we can change the material ID. And that is all the texture transform node does. Now, one thing to remember is this only inputs actual 2D and material information. So say for instance, let's change this back to a sphere. Let's get our Translation and scale, correct again. Let's bring it back in there. And make sure we don't have any other transforms. So let's say we wanted to, I know that looks funny. Let's say we wanted to add a bump map to this. So you would think, okay, we can bring in a material node. So let's bring in a blend. And we're going to input this into our diffuse color and input this into our shape. So now we've got that back on there correctly and transformed the way we want it. And we want to bring in a bump. So you would think we would just be able to transform this after we create a bump map. So we can create a bump map, create bump map. And let's create one off of this media. And let's change that to 5, and sure, we'll use luminance and we'll bring this up. So we just created a bump map. And to be able to get this on the material correctly so it lines up, you'd also have to transform this bump map because we transformed our media on those UVW coordinates. But say I copy that transform, paste it. And let's bring in a bump map so we can import our bump map into our material here on the bump map material. You notice we can't bring that material into our bump map any longer. So this will not allow us to retransform on that bump. And if we go here, actually, I'm just going to show you, you can see our bump map is way off because we transformed it. So you might think you could bring in a regular transform and we can copy this transform data because this is basically the X, the Y, and the Z. And we can take this and transform this on the X, but it still doesn't line up. It's not correct. So anytime we want to use any type of bumps or specular or anything else, we need to change the location of this transform. So let's get rid of this transform. We're going to disconnect our bump map. And we're going to disconnect our texture transform. So now we've got our texture, and let's bring in our media. Let's bring in our media. And let's look at our render. And now you can see our bump map is correct, but let's fix it up a little bit because it's a little too much and a little too crazy. And you notice there's a lot of noise in here too. That's why we're getting a lot of these bumps. So anytime you're creating a bump map and you need to get rid of that noise, you can actually bring in a noise reduction node. And we can slip that in before. And actually, let me use the Fusion version. Sorry. Noise reduction. So this is the Fusion version. And we're going to lock this, and we can bring up the softness, bring some of that detail back in. So now you can see that's a little cleaner. All right, so in order to transform our texture now what we need to do is we need to place this after our blend node. So we can input this into our material, and now it's transformed correctly, and we can transform both that diffuse material and the bump map and anything else we bring in here. So as you see, we can transform it all. So there we go. That is the texture transform node. I will see you in the next node breakdown.